we're in the zone. Hit play, rewind, feel the vibe. Let's go for a ride, let's go for a ride. Talking movies, popping off, plot holes, layers, like in again. Heartbreak getting deep, but it's not that serious, not that serious. Magic, that's what we look for, that's what we come for. Magic, that's what we look for, that's what we come for. We're paper screamy, set and scene, we're the best, yes, queen. We're paper screamy, set and scene, we're the best, yes, queen. We're paper screamy, set and scene, we're the best, yes, queen. We're paper screamy, set and scene, we're the best, yes, queen. We're paper screamy, set and scene, we're the best, yes, queen. We're paper screamy, set and scene, we're the best, yes, queen.
Hey screeners, welcome back to another episode. I'm Ricky.
And I'm Brittany.
And we are Paper Screen.
So I saw a movie today, a movie I had not heard of.
Oh God.
And so my partner woke me up. I did not want to get up. We went to the Grove and the movie is called Your Monster.
Oh, I've heard of it.
With Melissa Barrera.
Oh my God.
I know. So I sat down. I was like, like she was like the first thing you see. And I was like, I'm in. I'm glad I'm here. I'm glad I came to a movie. Like,
wow. So you didn't do research before you?
I literally I had never heard of this movie. I didn't know Melissa Barrera had a new movie out. Nothing.
And that was the movie that Jordan really wanted to go to, or he was just bored. It was like, let's.
No, I think he figured it would be good. Like we both like her a lot because she's super hot and really good at acting.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
what did you like about it?
Okay, so it's well, do you know what it is?
Kind of.
So it's in the world of the theater. You know, people that are into the theater and shit, like actors or whatever. Like
not like the AMC theater.
No, it's not about
live
A-listers.
theater.
Yeah, live theater. So it was just I don't know, it was just I think there's a uniqueness to how it was directed and the cast was great, really engaging, and there's a part where the movie's in a lot of different ways it's very much about the experience of being your character and all that and metamorphosis, I guess you could say, whatever. There is a part where I was like, oh, okay, I think I'm getting the whole people love being on stage and performing. There's something about it where I was like, oh, okay. But I was thinking you and Edwin should definitely go. I think Edwin would really like it.
Yeah, I was thinking to myself if he would like that. I don't know if this is a spoiler or not, but the lead guy, he's a monster. He
looks like the Beast.
Yeah, Beast.
But he's her a roommate. He's not a monster. She calls him monster, but it's her goofy roommate. But he's he's a monster that's secretly living in her closet her whole
gay
life.
Bestie. Just kidding. The monster in the closet, so he's gay. Just kidding. I saw an interview, they were promoting that movie and the guy was dressed up as the monster.
Oh yeah, that's so funny. That's pretty much it though. What have you been up to?
I went to a little panel discussion thing. It was very intimate. There was maybe 60 people there at the Rita House, which is pretty close to you.
Okay.
But the director of Happy Death Day and the screenwriter of Freaky were there.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, and they were doing a little panel discussion, but there was a social hour in the beginning. So I got to hang out with a bunch of industry people. Mm-hmm. So a lot of queer people who are into horror and stuff. And that was really cool. I just felt I was connecting with a lot of those people. Yeah, it was a vibe. Also, it got really emotional during the panel discussion because they were talking about grief and losing people in their lives and how it inspired their writing.
Yeah.
And yeah, I was a little teary-eyed. But it was so much fun.
That's awesome.
Anyways, what movie are we talking about today?
So today we're talking about, it's kind of the Brat of movies. It's a new little art house film called The Substance.
Have you ever dreamed of a younger version of yourself? Pump it up. Want to pump it up? We are pumping it up today with The Substance. Okay.
what does she say? I thought it's like some
See
cute
you
thing.
next time. Mwah.
Yeah. Don't
Yeah.
forget to smile.
No, that's
Okay, I don't know what I'm talking about.
anyways. Okay, so this film, for those who don't know about the film, it's about a fading celebrity that takes a black market drug that creates a younger, better version of herself, which is why we made that reference. It's starring Demi Moore, Margaret Qualley, and Dennis Quaid, who I've just found out is like a crazy Republican.
Oh. I mean, he looks like he would be.
Yeah, and that makes more sense now that he was like in that Reagan movie that came out. That nobody watched.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Yeah.
that's vaguely sounds familiar, but yeah.
Okay, so this film is written and directed by Coralie Forgeat. Okay, let's talk about our movie experience.
Okay.
You were the one that told me to go see this like immediately. And I was actually not going to see this movie because I saw the trailer and I was like not really interested. Because I saw MUBI as like their logo and I was like, oh, I know those type of movies. Not to be mistaken with Tubi. They have like their own streaming platform.
Yeah.
And they are like known for making movies that are very unhinged.
Yeah.
So I kind of knew what I was expecting, but not really. I did not expect it to be a body horror movie.
Okay.
Yeah. But okay, so the trailer, it shows like this film is by Coralie Forgeat. I'm like, I don't know who that is. So that's why I was like, okay, what is this?
Yeah.
But that when I went to go see the movie, it was actually like a mind fuck. It was beautiful in the best way.
Yeah. You went by yourself too, right?
Yeah. It was like a packed theater and everyone was like fucking laughing.
Yeah. It's the best movie for a crowd. It's the most cunt movie I've ever seen.
Exactly.
Like, there's no other way to describe it.
I know. It was serving cunt.
Literally.
Yeah.
Blowing up in your face. I'm trying to think why.
Yeah, why did you go?
I think maybe like knowing it was like a Demi Moore, maybe I heard the music and then I
Pump
like,
it up?
no,
Oh.
like just that techno, that intense, like, and then I was like, and I knew Margaret Qualley, maybe I saw an interview with Demi talking about it, and I saw Margaret was in it and I'm like, okay, I usually like shit she's in.
Yeah.
And then my partner was like, do you know what it's about? And I was like, no, but I think I had at least heard that movie's crazy or something, or it's like intense or whatever.
Yeah.
And like, I knew it obvious. Like, I think I thought it was going to be she like cloned herself. That's what I think I thought just from like what little things I knew. And then I'm like so like ADHD or something that like when the movie starts and it shows the egg part did not occur to me what was happening at all. I had no idea why there was an egg on the screen.
Oh my God.
I know.
When they show the egg, I'm like,
Yeah.
I was like, I know what I'm getting myself into now.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking to my head, I was like, so how's that going to work later?
Right.
That's what I was thinking the whole time. But
So, yeah, that was pretty much it. Like I went to the movie and I was just, yeah, in the last act. Like the whole movie, I was like, I love, because yeah, it's very cunt. And it was like every single shot felt like it could have been like a piece, like a page in Vogue. Like everything was so gorgeous, like so perfectly crafted. There's like obviously so many layers, blah, blah, blah.
well, speaking of like the production design, I mean, the director was inspired by Stanley Kubrick.
Right.
Like, all of the shots, like the set design, the bathroom, the hallway, her house, like that's all from Stanley Kubrick.
Yeah.
Or at least inspired by. I thought that was cool.
Yeah, the bath. I think I thought like with the hallway, I thought it, but once the bathroom happened, I was like, I like leaned over to my partner and I was like, this is just like The Shining. Like, and I was like, and it's supposed to be really jarring because they jump on 180-degree line or whatever,
Wait, really?
Yeah, that's the whole thing of that scene. He like intentionally jumps the line. If you watch that scene in The Shining, like when he's talking to someone in the bathroom, they're having like the whole conversation, and then when it's time for Jack to talk or for the other guy, he jumps the line completely. And it's like really jarring, but like it was very intentional. Anyway.
Oh, interesting. From The Shining or like
in The Shining?
The Substance? Oh.
I don't remember if The Substance did it because, you know, it turned into like her just hearing the dude pee. He was so gross. Like everything they did with him was so good because he was so fucking gross.
Yeah, like especially when he was like eating.
Oh my gosh.
Like that was the one of the things I wanted to talk about was like they really like do micro shots of his mouth and you hear it. It's like just so disgusting.
So gross. And he's eating, he's peeling and eating shrimp like, ugh, like a little beaver or something. Okay,
so spoilers ahead if you haven't watched this movie. But we have already like spoiled a bunch of stuff.
Yeah. So I'll say this. It's not gross like when you watch like a zombie movie and they like rip someone's head off where it's like kind of too realistic. It's not like that. It's very like campy.
But it looks realistic.
It looks realistic like, but like it's obviously like funny.
Right. Like that shit would never happen.
Yeah. Like it's, but like I said, it's not like, yeah, it's, I don't know. Like a Danny Boyle movie, like his zombie movies, like that's like, whoa. It's not like that. It's more like
Terrifier.
No, I haven't seen that. It's just like not, I mean, it's gross. I mean, I guess if you're like sensitive to blood. I did text a friend and I was like, you have to go see this. You have to go see this. And then they were like, yeah, I'm going to go tomorrow. And then I'm like waiting all night for them to text me. And then at like 2 a.m, I'm like, so did you hate it or what? And they're like, oh, I got so busy I couldn't go. And I'm like, oh, okay, just tell me when you go. And I'm like so excited because I'm like, they're going to think it's the most cunt thing ever. And they text me and they're like, that was disgusting. And they were like, it was like 20 minutes of like pure like blood, throw up, like whatever the fuck. And I was like,
right.
I was like, oh, everything else in the movie though. Should we talk about the budget?
Yeah, I was going to ask you, what is the budget for this?
So for The Substance, shockingly, 17.2 million.
Oh.
And I say shocking just because like I thought like the talent would have been like, I don't know, I just thought the whole thing would be more. But I guess like if you think about it, there's only a couple locations we actually see.
And I feel like they had to build those sets. They didn't find those. Like those are not locations you would see in real life.
Right.
Like that hallway, that's definitely like made in a studio. I mean, they probably did like have a studio like warehouse
for sure
because they're like, you know, on a set too.
Yeah, that would probably be like honestly the most affordable option for all of this, I'm sure.
Yeah. Okay, so how much did it rake in?
So like 13 domestic, but
since the release,
which was like a month ago from when we're recording this.
Yeah.
And then worldwide it's at 37.
Oh.
Yeah, so it's a very like word of mouth movie for sure.
Yeah. Well, okay, we already talked about the opening shot of the egg. But okay, the egg
was the egg before the star?
That's what I was going to ask.
I don't remember.
Cuz I feel like we see the star first cuz we see like the flashes of, it's like a time lapse of,
we see, which I loved. I was like, I never knew I needed to see one of those stars being made because it's like such a craft.
Oh,
when they're making it, just like the pieces of metal and like the cement and all that, I was just like mesmerized.
Yeah.
But yeah, they make it so it's like her whole, like right away you're kind of explained she was this big star and now no one gives a fuck about her. Like she's just like this like dirty star, which like, I mean, just so everyone listening, there's a couple like misconceptions about those stars. For one, you have to buy it.
Yep.
It's not something where like they're like, okay, you've just hit peak stardom. Now it's time for this thing. Like that's kind of how it's perceived. No, you like pay tens of thousands.
Don't they ask you first? Like, here's your opportunity.
I'm sure.
Because no one can just get a star if you're like a nobody.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm sure. And I'm sure, honestly, it's like probably something where like their agency and everyone's like, oh, is this the right time? Like, yeah, let's like whatever the fuck. And anyway, and then obviously like we know because we live here, but the Hollywood Walk of Fame, like the stars, like that whole area is like nasty as fuck.
Yeah.
It's like, it's not glamorous, y'all.
I was like, what part of the Walk of Fame are they at? Because it's like not even like where any of that is. Okay, so this film is like pretty much like broken up by chapters. Like there's 3 chapters.
That's right. I always forget that.
Yeah, and the first one is Elizabeth, who's Demi Moore, and then the second one is Sue, which is Margaret Qualley.
Yep.
And then the last one we'll get into.
Right, yeah.
Because it's a surprise.
That's like all I'm seeing too for Halloween costumes.
I know, I love it.
It's so good. It's the Harley Quinn
like
this
Barbie.
year. Yeah, it's like the Barbie this year. Totally.
Okay, so back to this movie.
Yeah.
Let's talk about like Elizabeth first, because
Yep.
so she's like this fading celebrity. Was she only famous for like the workout TV show thing?
No, I think it was kind of like a reflection of like what happened, like generationally. A lot of actors from that time, like Suzanne Summers and stuff, like they were like actors. They were like famous. You know what I mean?
That happened to do like aerobics.
Well, that's like what you kind of like did because it was like you're not getting like you don't get casted for like the lead, except unless you're like Nicole Kidman, like you don't get casted as like the leading woman anymore. So like you still need to have an income. So it's like, okay, well, I'm famous and like I have a nice body, so I'll be like an aerobics person. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I think that's what the implication was.
Yeah, I thought she was just like Jillian Michaels or something.
Oh,
Like famous for only just doing fitness shit.
I mean, I could be wrong, but because she got a Hollywood walk, you know what I mean? Like, I don't think an aerobics teacher would ever have, I don't think they'd ever let them.
Yeah, I think that was the one thing I was like, they didn't really elaborate on her. Like, okay, we only see like this giant picture of her in her house. And it's like, okay, is that all you do?
Right. I think one of the big interesting things about her is like she clearly loves doing this thing where she, you know, it's like because it's hers and it's, you know, she's like doing aerobics and then whatever, but it's like her 50th birthday, right? It's her 50th birthday and it's like that's already like hard for a woman, you know. Even I can even relate to that. It's like I never cared about growing up and aging until 2 women in my lives talked about it. And then whatever they were saying kind of like got in my head. And now it is a thing that bothers me, but it didn't before. I was like, whatever. But I don't know. I guess it's just how it works. But her boss, which is Dennis Quaid, is like this nasty pig, very executive, whatever, doesn't see her as a human.
Yeah.
And it's like her 50th birthday and he's like, I'm going to take you out to dinner. And it's like this weird thing. And he's like, you know, when you turn 50, you lose it. And she's like, what's it? And he's like, oh, I know this person over there. And it, like her goodbye gift, birthday present is like a fucking random cookbook.
Oh yeah. I
like
forgot about that.
Yeah. Like a French cookbook. But so I thought the most interesting thing about her was it was like once she like lost that job, she literally had nothing. Like she didn't have any hobbies and apparently literally no fucking friends.
I know. I was about to say that too. I'm like, bitch, do you not have people to hang out with?
Like no one's gonna call you and say happy birthday. You can't call someone and be like, I got fired, I feel old, I feel like I'm thrown away. Like nothing. She's just a super isolated woman.
Which I kind of don't believe. Like,
right. Yeah. I mean, none of this stuff's believable. But I remember thinking like once the movie ended and like how it ends, you know, and how like I was just like, is this movie about being lonely?
Yeah.
You know?
And that's how I felt when I was like kind of watching the movie. I mean, I watched the movie by myself.
Damn.
Even though I was in a room full of people, I was
You can be
lonely.
in a room full of people.
Shut up. So dumb.
So good.
Yeah, I kind of like felt like that, like loneliness for her. Yeah.
And she gets in that car accident.
She does.
Like when she's leaving the lunch with her boss, right? It's like right after that.
Does she have like a nice car? I forget.
Yeah, she does.
Was it like a Ferrari or some shit?
Something. I don't
just
know.
remember
Some hot sports car or whatever.
It was very Fast and the Furious.
Yeah.
It was like, boom.
Yeah.
She gets into a car wreck and then basically ends up in a hospital. And that's when we get introduced to the weird nurse.
Mm-hmm. He's kind of like, looks like a model.
He looked like young Leo with a fake tan.
Yeah.
I was like, this guy's really tan. And his eyes are like extremely blue.
Yeah.
I didn't notice this the first time, but he had those marks on his hand.
Oh.
Yeah. I was like, ew.
Yeah.
But yeah, like foreshadows like later.
Yeah. I was going to say, yeah, she's like also alone, leaves the hospital alone. And it's like, if you get in a big wreck on your fucking 50th birthday, like you'd think someone, but she's that lonely. And I think also part of that loneliness is because like she put her career above everything, like above relationships, above, you know what I mean?
Okay. Well, when she leaves the hospital, she meets that guy that she went to like high school with.
That really nice guy who's like, oh my gosh, Elizabeth, when we were, he's like, you're still the prettiest girl I've ever seen. Like,
and
her,
she's like, okay, thanks.
Yeah.
He like hands her like his number or something and drops it in the water or some shit.
Yeah.
He's like, sorry.
Yeah.
Here you go.
And like, that's like where she's at in life.
So we learn about the substance.
Yeah.
Because she like finds the card in her nice yellow coat, which is a nice egg yellow.
Ooh. Kind of like your Dodgers hat.
It totally is.
Yeah. I heard I listened to someone, I forget the creator's name, but they were talking about the yellow coat that Elizabeth wears. And they were like, yeah, it's this like kind of like she's walking around trying to be incognito, like wearing these sunglasses, like in a hat, like trying to like walk around like, I don't want anyone to recognize me. But you're wearing like the most like call to attention coat you could.
Also, it's not that cold.
Yeah.
Like,
right?
why are you wearing a beat coat?
Yeah.
In LA.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's like one of the hardest things about LA is it like it's never cold enough to wear a coat for me.
It does get pretty cold in like January, I think.
Yeah, for like a minute.
I mean, if you're standing outside like all day, I think you need a beat coat.
Yeah.
But yeah, that coat is slay. Okay, so let's talk about the substance.
So the substance is this green, electric green shit that super like elusive, super
brat.
secret. Oh my God, it is very brat. Oh shit. And yeah, because that card's there, it's kind of like she's like throws it in the garbage, like whatever. And then later she like fishes it out because something she sees makes her feel shitty or something. I don't remember what it was, but
like when she finds the card
well, remember she threw the card away and then she digs it out of the trash. I can't remember why she dug it out of the trash. Like what set that off. But anyway, so she finally calls the number and she's like, hi, and it's like, go to this address.
Oh, no.
And then she goes and gets it and something gets shipped maybe.
She gets like a box and it's the USB to like the video.
Oh,
that's when she throws it away, but then she changes her mind. She's just like doing a lot of contemplating. I'm like, we didn't need to see all of that.
Yeah. Like looking at her like picture on the wall and like, but anyway, yeah. So she finally gets it and does it. And it's like so weird. Like it's like these plastic tubes of like some like substance.
It's like these IV tubes.
Yeah.
And then there's like so many like instructions.
Yeah.
I was like, what? This is so complicated.
I know. That's okay. So that's the other part. I was like, this is way too complicated for anyone to do at home. But you know what I immediately thought of?
What?
Ozempic. That was the first thing I thought
of. Oh my God, yeah.
I was like, oh, I wonder if like Ozempic kind of kicked this off, because Ozempic is it's actually a really fantastic drug, and it's actually been around for like 18 years or something. But unfortunately, Hollywood is like deranged because women are like, and men are like brainwashed, and non-binary people are like brainwashed to be like skinny. Anyway, that's what I immediately thought of, was like this desperation, even though like obviously Demi Moore doesn't need fucking Ozempic, but
Ozempic is like much less complicated though. It's literally just an injection.
Yeah.
But the only complicated part is I think you have to go in like every week to.
No.
Oh, not anymore.
No.
I thought a provider had to like give it to you.
I mean, you have to be prescribed it. And if you can't pay cash or whatever, if your insurance doesn't cover it, you have to pay
Black
for
market.
it. But it's and there's technically a pill form of the active ingredient, which is semaglutide, I think. But anyway, it just has to be a certain temperature, kind of like the COVID vaccine, where like it has to stay cold.
Yeah.
So it gets shipped to your home, but it's literally an injection, like one simple injection. It's not, you don't, well, I mean, the substance is fucking crazy, but when she does it, she finally like pulls the trigger. And does she get kind of sick and falls to the ground and falls asleep or something?
I thought she was like having kind of like a seizure when it was like happening. It starts to take over her, and then you see her pupils like turning into.
That's right. Oh my gosh. Yeah. The pupils like start splitting.
And then like we see something kind of growing out of her back, and then it like rips open.
Is it a cell splitting? Like that happens in her eyes. And then if you think about it, that's quite literally what's happening to her.
Yeah.
Just like the egg.
Yeah. That part was so cool and gross at the same
I
time.
couldn't believe it. I was like, ew, what the fuck?
So this new version of herself is growing out of her. So when she's out of the body, she has to like sew up the back. And it's like the longest fucking shot. I'm like, can we not?
Yeah.
I don't want to see the stitching part. Like, please.
Yeah, it was so cringe.
Yeah, it was.
And then she finally looks in the mirror, and I thought it was like herself younger. Like that's what I thought.
Is it not?
I don't know. I thought you told me it wasn't. It's like, or maybe someone else did, but it's like a better version.
Oh yeah. If it was supposed to be a younger version of her, like people would recognize.
Exactly. Yeah. Which makes sense. I'm like, oh, okay. But I was going to say when I was watching it, I thought at the time it was a younger version, and I was like, Margaret Qualley's eyes are blue and Demi Moore's are like green. So it bothered me because I was like, come on, like they could have fixed that, but it's not her.
Right.
It's just like a better version of her DNA or whatever the fuck. But she looks in the Margaret Qualley, this newborn, better or whatever, hot young version of Elizabeth named Sue, like wipes the mirror and finally sees herself. And apparently those are fake tits.
I know.
I would have never known.
Me neither. I wasn't paying attention because I'm gay.
Yeah.
But I can admire great tits, but those are some pretty great fake tits.
Yeah. But like, yeah. And then I was like, people were like, yeah, obviously. And I'm like, oh, I
obviously. Okay.
I know. I was like, oh, because all I was thinking was like, oh, I didn't realize Margaret Qualley had such a rack. Like that's all I thought when I saw him. I was like, oh, wow, good for her. And I mean, not that she needs to, women can have.
That's funny.
Blah, 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 blah. But yeah, let's talk about when Sue goes out on the town.
Yeah, so there's a rule while using the substance is that you have to switch back and forth every other week or some shit. Right?
Every 14 days or 7 days?
I don't remember. I was like, that's so fucking complicated.
Yeah.
How do you like explain that to your job?
Exactly. And the thing is like, no matter what, you have to like switch back, and we don't really know why, but obviously I think it's pretty obvious there's going to be like ramifications if you don't.
Yeah, and then also like while your old version of yourself, you have to like feed it food through a tube, which is like liquid.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, how are
Liquid
they like
diet.
eating? I mean,
Well, that's what I mean, that's like real life. I mean, some people can't, they don't have the ability to swallow. And so you have to put like a liquid, nutrient dense food in the like a feeding tube.
But yeah, so Sue's like kind of breaking the rules. She's going out on the town.
And she gets casted for, she's the replacement.
Before she goes out on the town.
Yeah.
She like goes through like a whole audition process because they're looking for the new version of Elizabeth. And then here comes Sue. She's like, I'm Sue. Which I'm like, could have picked a better name.
Right. Like so basic.
Okay, so she gets a job at the studio where she worked. And Dennis Quaid hires her, gives her like her own show.
Yeah.
Which
Pump It Up.
Pump It Up. And it's like very sexual, like hyper sexual, like music video vibes.
Yeah. And it's shot like so. It's just like all these like glam highlight shots of like every piece of like her ass and her tits. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they were cool and all, but I'm like, okay, how much do we have to cater to the male gaze?
Right. Right. Yeah. I just remember thinking like the fake eyelashes they put on her. I was like, that's not what they would have put on her.
They looked fake.
Yeah. They like, yeah. It was just kind of like, but she's all kind of like cute and like, hee hee, you know?
Right. Now that like, she's becoming more popular, she's like going out with friends. Yeah, and she's like staying out late when she's not supposed to be, and she's like hooking up with this dude, this biker dude, right? And it's like her last night before she has to like switch back. But she like goes over a little bit, right?
Yeah, because it's like, I don't know, you know, like she has to change at like, I don't know, 10, 11, 12 or something at night. But she has the guy inside. She's got like a cat suit on and like a big long braid high pony.
It's very Ariana Grande.
Yeah, very. And she like goes in and like just make sure that Elizabeth has like enough of the feeding tube, and she's just like, don't worry, I'll come back. Like, I'm just gonna,
right.
I need a couple hours. And then the coolest, nastiest shot happens. I literally was like,
I was like, what am I looking at? Like, I don't even know what's spilling out right now.
Yeah.
Just like lasagna coming out of her back.
Yeah, it was like chunks of like human flesh. Like, because the guy unzips her cat suit, and so you see her bag, and it's just like, and then it's revealed that like actually that's Elizabeth's like nightmare as she's waking up. Remember that? That's like the chicken bone part too. Wait, we have to get back to something else. The first or second time that Sue is like having her week or whatever, she builds like a secret chamber for like the other body to go in. Yeah, and that's like when the neighbor's like, hey, like I have a job and you're like jackhammering all night. And then he sees her and he's like, whoa, you're super hot.
Yeah. He's like, wait, who are you?
Yeah. And she's like, Elizabeth moved out. And he's like, whoa, you come over, and you know what, don't worry about it, I got a hammer if you need help. Yeah,
I totally forgot about that guy.
But like everyone when she like made that thing, everyone in the theater just like laughed because it was just so I'm like, unrealistic.
I'm like, how did you figure out to find a like empty space in the freaking
well, she was like
apartment?
knocking on her walls.
I guess you might have. I mean, if you've been living there, I guess you would know.
Yeah, but yeah, it just like, oh, are you an architect or a carpenter? Or so, like, how did you just suddenly make that? You know,
was it Sue that was making it, or was okay? Yeah,
yeah.
Maybe that's part of the substance. You like become like
strong,
multifaceted.
Yeah.
You're like just doing everything.
Yeah. Elizabeth wakes up from her like nasty nightmare, and what has happened to her body?
She notices her finger is like aging, which is like really gross because doesn't her nail like come off?
Maybe. But yeah, it like looks really old, and I was gonna say that's actually like a thing.
Yeah.
Like your hands aging, because like there's a whole thing of like you can't hide your age because your hands will tell your age or whatever.
Yeah. Same thing with your neck.
Oh yeah. Gobble gobble.
There was a funny part when she like calls them the substance people.
Yeah.
And she's like, there's been a misuse.
Yeah.
Is there something that can be reversed here?
Yeah. And they're like, no.
Yeah, exactly.
They're like, no, we told you that's like the one thing. The whole saying, you are one.
Yeah.
Don't forget you are one. And so they were like, well, if you don't change in time, it's taking from you.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
So it gets like really intense. Okay, we didn't really talk about the chicken in her butt.
Yeah, so it's like she's dancing and she like kind of like pops a squat, right?
Yeah, and they're like, wait, we see something.
Yeah, there's like this
Go to
lump
camera
that kind of
3.
pops out. Oh my god, that whole part was so funny.
And can we put it in slow motion?
Go frame by frame.
Frame by frame, and she's like freaking out because she.
So good. Yeah, and then
Yeah,
Elizabeth wakes up and it was a nightmare.
Elizabeth wakes up.
Yeah.
I thought she's having a nightmare about the chicken in her butt.
Oh, no, you're right. And she was having that nightmare because Elizabeth had been going,
eating.
going like, she goes into the living room and there's just like nasty like food everywhere. Like Elizabeth's just been like pounding food back and watching TV.
Yeah, well, is this before or after the cooking?
This is before,
Oh.
because then like later she starts like, because you like we didn't know Elizabeth was doing that, and then it's kind of like, oh, did she just like sit around and eat and watch TV for the last 7 days?
Yeah.
Later on, when Sue's on like the Tonight Show or something, that's when like Elizabeth had grabbed that dumb like French cookbook that her old boss gave her, and she's like cooking everything.
Oh, she was supposed to meet up with that guy.
Yeah.
Elizabeth, her former high school classmate or whatever. That scene where she's like trying to fix herself every time in the mirror.
Yeah.
I was like, I can relate.
Same. No,
I'm like,
100%. I've done that.
I'm like, I gotta put makeup on.
Yeah. And like no matter what you do, you're just like not happy with what you're seeing. Yeah, totally. And it feels like that. It feels like I don't want to fucking leave the house. I feel like I don't want anyone to see me. But she doesn't go. And I was like, Elizabeth, you're so lonely. Fucking go, dude.
Yeah, but that was such a really good scene, like her performance.
Oh, yeah.
Anyways, so let's get to the part where Sue's like taking advantage of like staying out. Like it's been how long? Because she's like getting all these opportunities. Oh, and she's like lying about like, oh, I have to visit my mom.
Yeah.
At the hospital for
Every
like
other
other
week.
week. It's like, what?
Yeah.
Okay.
And she's getting like super famous super fast. Because yeah, it was like you're being interviewed on the Tonight Show. Like she's on a billboard right outside the apartment.
Yeah, and that's why like Elizabeth is like pissed off because it's like she's taking all of her stardom or whatever.
Let me ask you something. When they're one or the other, so like when it's Sue and Elizabeth is like asleep, is Elizabeth conscious inside of Sue?
That's a good question. I guess.
It's just kind of weird because I kept thinking like I like forgot that they are one, and because of like how they act when they wake up the next day and see something. Because I'm like, well, you would have known if you're the same. Like if you were, are you the same person or not? Like it's just it gets kind of weird.
Yeah. Let us know in the comments.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts? Okay, so Elizabeth turns old.
Yeah, like really old.
And it's like crazy, overly dramatic.
Oh my gosh.
Like what? She looks like the
Gollum.
witches. Yeah. She looks like a goblin.
Yeah. She looks like she's probably 110 or something. Like
Yeah, the Hunchback of Notre Dame.
yeah. And like it's sort of like Sue was retaliating because every time she'd wake up, she'd see that Elizabeth had just been like binge eating.
Yeah.
And she was like, control yourself. And then so she was kind of, I took it as like her punishing Elizabeth, like, because she had to have known at some point that it was like making Elizabeth age rapidly.
Yeah. The funny part when they like cut from the ass to like the guy's ass.
Yeah.
She's like, get out.
Yeah.
He's like, who the fuck is that?
Yeah.
that part was funny.
Can you imagine waking up like that? Like super, super, because it was the type of old where, yeah, like hunchback.
No hair.
Yeah, like
gray.
You look like a completely different person. You look so much worse than on your 50th birthday.
But I mean, I guess that's how people would feel after, hitting 50. They probably feel like granny.
Right.
So, no offense.
Oh, wait a minute. Flashback. Oh my God. Do you remember our first sort of interaction?
No, what?
So Ricky and I were in screenwriting class together in college, and we didn't really know each other.
Oh my God.
But our teacher, shout out to Alan Miller, you read a little snippet of your script, and in the script it was like, I could have sworn it said an elderly man
who
was like 55, and Alan was like, okay everyone, like what would you change, and and I was like, well, you said that like a 50-year-old was elderly, and then because like that teacher was probably, who knows, like 70.
Dude, I was in my 20s, okay?
I know
I fucking I freaking don't know what old is, okay?
Yeah, it was just so funny because it was like elderly, like what?
I know people in their 20s think like 50 is like 90.
We definitely did. Yeah, it was so funny. But that was like Ricky and I's first sort of interaction.
Yeah, and then the second time was like, because I had a line where a character was like, "Are you mad?"
Yeah,
and Brittany goes, "Are they British?" Yeah. And I was like, "Oh, this bitch."
Oh man.
Anyways, back to the substance though. Let's talk about the part where Sue and Elizabeth are in the same room. How do they end up being in the same room? Like,
I think so really old Elizabeth drags Sue into the living room, and she's like got that syringe
with the substance in it, or
it's something that's gonna, maybe, but it's something that's gonna, you would inject it into her heart and kill her.
Oh yeah.
And so she's gonna kill Sue because it's like, you've gone too far. I'm like some crazy old man now, or old woman, looks like an old man. And then she's about to do it, and she's like, I can't do it. And then Sue somehow wakes up and like beats her up.
Her like CPR.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
And then fucking Sue all of a sudden like turns into like Superwoman and like beats the shit out of her to her death.
Like beats the shit out of her.
It was crazy. She's like flipping her and throwing her, crashing into the picture on the wall.
Yeah.
I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah. And that was a thing. Sue had been asked to host like Rockin' New Year's Eve or whatever, something like that. Right. So, and it was, and that was the thing too. The night that New Year's was happening and she's supposed to host it, I think like the equivalent of like, channel or ABC or whoever does that. It's during Elizabeth's time. And so Sue was like, she like woke up and it was like, she had to haul ass, beat the shit out of Elizabeth, and then haul ass down to the studio for Rockin' New Year's Eve or whatever.
And okay, Elizabeth's dead.
Yeah.
So she needs her body though. And without her body, like Sue's gonna be like starting to deteriorate.
Right. Yeah. The like DNA is gonna start breaking down or whatever.
Yep. And then we start to see that when she gets to the New Year's Eve party and she's all like, because I thought, at first I was like, oh, she's gonna be fine.
Right.
Because like I would think it would happen right away, but then she starts to have her nose bleed, right? Or is it her teeth?
I think teeth happen like pretty quickly. She goes in the bathroom and just like yanks out a tooth, and I'm like, dude.
Yeah, that whole scene. She's like taking out her teeth.
I'm like, so gross.
God. And then she runs into Dennis Quaid in the hallway with those men.
Yes, with all the investors.
And they're like, smile. And she's like,
Yeah, and that's such like a back to the whole feminism, like woman experience is like the whole, why aren't you smiling?
Yeah.
You should smile. You got to smile. And like, if you're not smiling, it's like there's something like you're a grump or a bitch. Yeah, resting bitch face.
So then what happens? She runs off.
she runs home to get the substance to like give herself like a little pick me up.
Right, which is like, is it close to the studio?
I know. I'm like, girl, you can't leave and come back. Like, just fucking let your teeth fall out.
I know. I was like, okay, they could have like made this whole scene easier for her to do. Like, if she had thought about like, oh, what if I need the substance? Mm-hmm. Like, take it with you to the New Year's Eve thing.
Exactly.
And then like have the whole thing in the bathroom, lock yourself in there. And then we wouldn't have to see like this whole going back to the apartment, getting substance, doing your own makeup. Like, you could have did all of that in the bathroom scene. Yeah, it would have cut like maybe 5 minutes.
Yeah.
It's just so long. I guess we can segue to the final chapter.
Yep.
Which is Monstro Lisa Sue.
Yeah. The final chapter. It's so funny. Like she climbs out or whatever or like self, I don't remember, and she looks in the mirror and she's just fucking.
Well, yeah, Sue takes the substance thinking like, oh, I'm going to create a new version of myself. And it's gonna be better.
Right. Like, I'll just keep doing it or whatever.
She's like basically a mesh of different things. Like, and you got Demi Moore's face like in the back, which is like super disturbing for some reason.
Totally.
The whole time she's just like,
yeah, so fucked up.
I'm like, how do they do that? Like,
right. Yeah.
It was cool.
Because Margaret Qualley really did wear that costume. She had to like walk
Demi
around.
Moore's face?
No, she wore like the monster costume.
Okay, we got to talk about the best part of Monstro.
Yes.
When she's like trying to make herself look good in the mirror.
She puts on this like the blue like the Cinderella dress. Yeah, like and she's still 100% going to host Rockin' New Year's Eve or whatever.
I was like, wait, you're still gonna you have so much confidence in yourself. You're gonna go out.
Right. And she like has like one strand of hair.
She had a few.
And she's like curling it. It's just so like as if it's gonna improve anything.
And it like burns off.
Yeah.
And she like looks at herself in the mirror. She's like, ugh. And then she like stabs herself with the earring.
Yes,
like,
puts the earring in. So funny.
Not even on an ear. It's just like in her skin.
I guess that's like, you know how she was wearing star earrings?
Yeah.
So I guess like in the director's other movie, the character's wearing star earrings. And so, so people are like, oh, I wonder if that's going to be like some motif that director always includes, like star earrings for some reason.
The best part is like when she finishes all of that, she like super glues the fucking face of Elizabeth.
So fucking funny.
I was dying. It was so good. So she's going back to the New Year's Eve party. She's on stage and the music is bomb.
Yeah, it's so good. Yeah.
What is that? Is that?
It's from Stanley Kubrick.
Yeah.
It's from 2001.
Yeah, 2001.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, it's so good. And everyone's just like, and she's just this like lump of flesh and like all crazy. And she vomits out a boob.
Does she vomit? I thought it comes out
or
of
just
like
comes out of like her body.
Yeah, it just like protrudes out. And
yeah,
it's like her titty.
Yeah, it's
or
like
a titty.
Yeah,
which looks like a little balloon.
Yeah,
like a water balloon.
Yes, and everyone's just like more horrified.
I know.
And she's like,
it's me. You guys, this is me.
And everyone's like, oh, get off the stage, you monster.
Yeah, and then like all these like men start attacking her.
Yeah.
Like pushing her around and shit. It's like, and the editing is so fast.
Yeah.
I'm like, what is going on? Why is it like this?
Does she start like projectile vomiting at some point, or am I making that up?
I thought her arm gets ripped off and that's like, the blood is like spraying everywhere.
Yeah, because it's like a very Carrie moment.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then does does a guy hit her with a chair and she just explodes or something? Like, I can't remember. It's so insane.
There was a lot happening. Like, the crowd was like running away, but somehow like she falls and then breaks into like a million pieces.
Yeah, she like splatters.
I know.
Because the DNA was too weak.
And then all we see is like Demi Moore as a blob.
Yeah, it's just her face, like looking up, blob, and so it starts like kind of
Inching towards
the
star.
I'm a star.
The real star.
Yeah, the
This year.
right. It's the Hollywood star, so it like bookends the movie.
Yeah.
And it's this like moment where she like goes right over it, and looking up she sees 3 palm trees, and it's like a really like peaceful, nice moment. And then she just dissolves.
Yeah. It was just like cathartic.
Yeah, and like a street sweeper goes over her.
Yeah.
And that's the story of Elisa Sue Monster. What is she? How do you say it?
Elisa Sue.
Elisa Sue.
Monstro Elisa Sue.
Yeah.
Okay, I just have like a couple fun facts.
Let's do it.
So Ray Liotta was supposed to play Dennis Quaid.
Wow.
And he was cast to be in it in February 2022.
Wow. And when did he pass away?
In May of 2022.
Wow.
And yeah, so they didn't even get to film any of his scenes. So then Dennis Quaid came in and replaced him.
Wow. That's crazy.
But they still thanked him. Ray Liotta in the credits.
Oh, I don't remember that.
I didn't stay for the credits. I was like, I gotta go. It's late.
Yeah.
I need to process what I just watched.
Yeah, I think I got up and left because it did feel at some point like the last 20 minutes was like, all right, this movie should have ended.
Oh, and Demi Moore, she's 61.
Oh, okay.
Or she could be 62 now, but
Yeah.
61 when she made the film,
Okay.
playing a 50-year-old.
Yeah, good for her.
Right. Slay. Welcome back.
Yeah.
Welcome back to Hollywood.
I was saying to my partner, like, do you remember when they cast her in that Charlie's Angels movie? And that was like, all the rage was like, whoa. Because back then, she was probably turning 40, which is like just outrageous. But everyone was like, whoa, she looks fucking hot. Like Demi Moore. And she did. She had like a 6-pack and like long, gorgeous hair.
Mm-hmm.
So it was kind of interesting. I thought that was the other part of the movie was just like, it seems like Demi Moore is our Elizabeth,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, totally.
Do you remember her in Ghost? She's really fucking cute in Ghost.
Yeah, with her little boy cut.
Yeah. And Patrick Swayze.
R.I.P.
Yeah.
Anyways, final thoughts on this film?
I thought it was so good. I really did. I think it's like one of the things I kind of said it earlier about like every shot thought like it looked like David LaChapelle, like something like just the bright colors, like it was just so thoughtful. And I remember thinking that like this movie, everything was so thought out. Like there isn't one shot that wasn't, you know, so it's just like such a craft.
Yeah.
And I'm really happy for everyone who was a part of it.
Yeah, I really liked this film. I think it was such a wild ride and one of those movies that was very unexpected this year. I feel like it was definitely the Barbarian of this year.
Yeah, that's a great comparison.
Yeah, such a huge surprise. Also, great job, Demi Moore.
Yeah, slay queen.
Oscar buzz? Just kidding.
They like show the weird scenes.
I know. It's just like her, like the old version of her.
Yeah, cooking and like mocking Sue on the TV.
Yeah. Okay, how many onions?
I'm gonna give it a bloomin' onion
Same.
because it's a really, I can't think of a movie that's similar.
Yeah. Well, that's the end of this episode. Let us know what you think about the film. Brittany, where can we find you?
You can find me at humble_books_review.
And you can find me on Instagram and TikTok at somecallme_Ricky. And if you liked this episode, you can find us on Instagram and YouTube at Paper Screen Podcast. So smash that like button, hit us up, let us know what you think. Until next time.
Bye.